Look what I have. This is a hint. Nice beach towels or a blanket. You take your choice. Okay, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. My name is Deb Hoffbauer, and I'm with Virginia Utility Protection Service, VA 811, and I'm the Director of IT. And I am so excited about this because I was asked to kind of give you a look back at the last 10 years. So this is pretty exciting. Can anybody not hear me? Ha, ha, ha. That's never been a problem with me. All right, are you ready to have fun? Because guess what? That's what I believe in. We're going to have fun. This is going to be an interactive presentation. I'm going to call on people. Raise your hand because you got some nice, you're really cold, aren't you? See this? See this? VUPS beach towel? You can either lay out on the beach later or you can warm up with this. And I bet you're going to be anxious to answer some questions. So I'm pretty excited to talk about the last 10 years at VUPS. So let's get started. Make sure you pay attention. There's questions. Okay. The last 10 years in operations started in 2002. However, let's take a look at how it first all started in 2001. If you take a look at this, VUPS LLC was formed in 2001. This picture represents the Northern Virginia Board, the NVUPS, and the Southern Virginia Board, VUUPS, all came together and formed, decided to let's bring it in-house, let's make it a one-call center for the state of Virginia. This is when it actually first started. You see our CEO, Rick Pavorsky, there in the middle, shaking hands with some of the board members. This is how it all got started. That was, and believe it or not, guess what day this was on? April 1st, 2001. I asked him, did you think this was an April Fool's joke? So let's go through and go through the process. So the mission began. Rick shook the hands. He accepted the position as the CEO, and he said, okay, now what do I do? There he is. What do I do? So, okay, this is the big, big thing that's been going on for 10 years. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Dave or Debbie? Okay. That's a big joke in our staff, right? Okay, so here's how I like to put it. Dave was inherited from the Northern Virginia Board, but I was the first employee Rick hired. So sorry, Dave. However, I will tell you, I really count on Dave a lot. So I'm glad you were inherited, Dave. So the mission began. If they build it, that was our mission. 2002, here we go. What happened? During 2001, we had to find a site. So we finally found our site in Roanoke, and we walked in, and it was pretty empty. It was really empty. Rick said, you have 16,000 square feet? Approximately 16,000 square feet. Make a call center out of this. We're like, yeah, right. What have you been doing? He goes, what have I been doing? I had to write a business plan, and I had to convince banks that we have what it takes to have a company. And he did a fantastic job. So what did we do? We said, give us some money, boss. We're ready to build it. Here's a look at our computer room when we first walked in. This is all old equipment that was already in there. This is our facility in Roanoke. We built the computer room up. We installed the systems. This floor, this is our call center floor, where all of our agents, damage prevention specialists are sitting now. It was empty. We had to build the cubicles, wire them, get the PCs in there, and everybody was involved in this. And then Jackie, why don't you stand up, Jackie, because this is Jackie Stern, our manager of operations. What did she have to do once everything was in there? She had to go out and find people to sit there and hire them, train them, make sure they understood not only how to take a phone call. We're not selling shoes, she told them. We are preventing damages from occurring in Virginia. So part of the training was she had to make them understand the Virginia law, help them understand how it works. What is damage prevention in Virginia? She did a fantastic job of that. Thank you, Jackie. Part of the training, which I thought was really unique with my experience in call centers, was we brought in locators to help our damage prevention specialists understand what is the job that they're doing. They're taking these calls about digging in Virginia, but then what happens? So locators volunteered, and this is Cox Communications. I believe this is Sid Bush.
But actually, David Doyle was the one who did all the training for us.
All right, David, why don't you stand up for us? Take a bow, David. They came in, they taught us what happens once that notice of excavation is taken. What happens then? Locators took our reps out, took our damage prevention specialists out on the road with them and showed them what they did. So our training was pretty great. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was pretty exciting. And then guess what? We're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. We told Rick, we're ready. Okay, we're ready. So what happened? Question. Uh-oh. Who's cold out there? Ha 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 ha. What's the acronym that VUPS has used since their inception for our agents? Oh, you gotta hold up your hand.
I think it was right here in the orange shirt, actually.
There you go. And Steve, I'm sorry. There, Steve's going to be passing out the presents. She answered the right question, DPS, Damage Prevention Specialist. You know what? Our agents aren't just agents, like we talked about the training. Why are they called Damage Prevention Specialists? Rick came up with... All right, I'm going to click. I told you this is fun. It's never boring when you put me in front of a group of people. But anyway, Rick came up with that because we wanted our agents to understand they're not selling shoes. They have to understand the law. There's a lot of things they had to learn. So they love being called damage prevention specialists because they do understand the law. So I'm going to take over here. What are we doing? All right. So I want to talk a little bit about our 2002 technology. When we first opened in 2002, remember I said pay attention, there's more questions, there's more blankets / beach towels, okay? 2002 we had Tiger Fall maps, remember those? We had O-cars for our ticket entry system. Look at that. Isn't that hilarious when you look at that? This is like traveling, finding a time capsule and looking at what's occurred. We had grids up here to map the area of excavation. This is a little bit of how we first started out. What came next? First notice of excavation. When did VUPS take its first notice of excavation? Anybody know? Are you cold? Jim Cherry raised his hand. Woo! And the winner is Mr. Cherry. Whoops. Can you go back? Sorry. So he's exactly right. July 1st, 2002, at 6:05 a.m., VUPS created its first ticket of notice of excavation. Here's an example of that ticket. That looks pretty funny now if you've seen our tickets. Time capsule. We're going to talk about how tickets have evolved, notices have evolved. And then we created our first logo. Okay, we had to have a logo. We've got this company formed. We're in business now. We had to have a logo. If you can go back to the logo, please. Okay, the logo, when we sat down, the exec staff sat down talked about the logo. We talked about what do we want it to look like. Well, we wanted the state of Virginia. We wanted a circle around it to show that we're here to provide damage prevention for the state of Virginia. And then, of course, all-encompassing. And, of course, we wanted our company name. Remember, we were Virginia Utility Protection Service, so we had to have that on there. Okay? Next slide, please. What else? Can you go back? Okay, 2003 rolls around. We're still taking our notices of excavation for the southern part of the state, south of the Rappahannock. 2003 rolls around. What happens then? This is getting exciting, folks. We had to go through a huge SEC examiner's hearing to show that we can do this, and we can also take the rest of the state of Virginia. So what happened in 2003? The hearing, the Commonwealth of Virginia, they were decided that one notification center should serve the entire state of Virginia. So guess what? We started taking tickets for north of the Rappahannock. Okay? Stand up back there first. Incorrect. Trish raised her hand.
I knew it was 2003. April 1st? No.
Okay. July 1st, 2003. Congratulations. So a year after we started taking tickets for south of the Rappahannock and started our company, a year later we started north of the Rappahannock. So there you go. Okay, some of the enhancements we did in a year, which I'm surprised we did any because we had just started running and forming our business, but we did because our CEO was always saying, how can we make this better? What do? We got a new output ticket format. If anybody noticed on the first ticket that I showed you, people would get the notice of excavation, but it wouldn't tell you what type of ticket it was, whether it was a normal excavation, an emergency, a 3-hour notice. So in 2003, we recognized that, and we put that on our output ticket format. What else did we do? Northern Virginia callers would always refer to ADC maps. So we overlaid our ADC maps onto our current mapping system that we were using. And I don't know, from a show of hands, and there's no prize with this, how many people remember updating your maps in 2003? Remember the process of how hard that was? When we would receive a map update, you would have to log on to our web server. You'd have to verify your mapping. This took forever for us to receive map updates and get them put into production. So it's kind of exciting when you look at how it was then versus how it is now. It's changed a lot. What else did we do in 2003? We decided we have one site. What happens if that site goes down? We can't have a single point of failure like that. So we opened a disaster recovery site. Here's a picture of that. It's located in downtown Roanoke. It's located in a different zone for flooding, so it covers all the disaster recovery rules. But it's also a hot site. What do I mean by a hot site? We have agents sitting there right now taking tickets. On the third floor, yes. Thank you, Jim. So it's pretty interesting. And it's interesting how our systems have evolved because the agents are sitting there taking tickets, or damage prevention specialists. We have DPS taking tickets at our other site. And within a nanosecond, they can see each other's tickets. So it's pretty cool. This is our disaster recovery hot site. It's a great building. We have great damage prevention specialists sitting there. And now if one place is unavailable, we have people sitting at the other one. And to you all, serving all of our stakeholders, we're available to take a ticket anytime, take a call anytime. Am I too loud? No? Okay. So 2004 rolls around. Be prepared, you might have some questions, okay? I know you're cold. And the answer is not July 1st. Okay, what are some of the enhancements that happened in 2004? We moved away from Tiger files, and we got our GDT land-based maps. Anybody remember that? Okay, some of the other things that happened, that's when the internal support center at VUPS, that was where some of our damage prevention specialists sat in a specific area, and anytime somebody internally needed help with a call, they would call our internal support center. They officially became the VUPS help desk. We implemented that through operations department, and they started serving both our internal damage prevention specialists and our external customers. We added an option on our IVR, or when you called into us, if you wanted to reach our help desk, press option 2. How many of you remember that? That was a biggie. I gave a presentation on that in 2004, remember? Because I kept saying option 2. Okay. Another thing that happened was VUPS prepared for Hurricane Isabel. Anybody remember Hurricane Isabel? I'm sure a lot of you remember that, okay? We did all types of preparation for Hurricane Isabel. And then what happened? We were ready. We were ready for a lot of calls. But unfortunately, the people that were affected couldn't call into us. But we were ready. And from that, we have a great disaster checklist in the event of any major disasters for the company. What else did we do? We implemented a Spanish queue for the folks in our Spanish community that wanted to call with a notice of excavation. They could press an option on our pre-announcer, and they could reach a Spanish-speaking DPS. We also implemented web ticket management. Anybody from Loudoun County here? All right. Let's give this man a hand, because Loudoun County was the first people to beta test our web ticket management. And then guess what happened? VUPS became VUPS LLC, became VUPS Incorporated. And then in 2004, we hired our first regional PAT, which is our Public Awareness and Training Coordinator. Steve was so excited about this. He was a lonely man until 2004. He hired his first PAT coordinator. What did that allow us to do? I'm astounded at what the PAT department does today. All the events they go to, all the times they go out and educate our public on damage prevention. That allowed him to get out and further educate people on damage prevention. This is a slide of an exhibit they attended, and this is a really cool idea that Channing did. And Channing got people involved and the children involved. And I thought this was a really great picture. 2005 rolls around. What occurred? Okay, some of the enhancements we did was we noticed that people were using our internet site more and more. So we installed a secondary internet path so we would never be down. We started eliminating single points of failure. We installed an independent internet path at our disaster recovery site so we wouldn't have to rely on that company's internet path. We installed a new UPS to keep all the power up and running. And then this is pretty interesting what occurred, was at the time we always focused on single points of failure. And this is where we were starting to fine-tune that process. And we had 3 call switches. We had 2 at our main site. We had 1 at our disaster recovery site. But you know what? If the call switch failed, we had to unplug a wire, plug it into another call switch, give it about 5 minutes to reboot, wait for all this process to happen. We said, that is not acceptable. So at the time, our vendor was Mitel, and we said, we want resiliency. We want this to work seamlessly. If one call switch fails, we want the other one to take over, and we don't want you all who are trying to reach us to even know it occurred. They said, we can't do that. Nobody's doing that. We said, yes, you can. So Rick Marshenko, our cameraman, is multi-talented over here. Rick went to Canada and actually worked with the Mitel engineers, and in their lab, they created resilient call switches. So we had resilient call switches, and we were pretty happy about that. We also decided we got to expand our disaster recovery site. We had 20 seats there, we added 20 more. So in the event we really need to move our agents there, we could get 40 people answering the calls at the same time. And then what happened? We started looking at that old OCAR system. Said, man, this is not good. This is hard on people's eyes to look at this. It's hard to take a ticket. So we decided we needed a new ticket entry system. But you know what? The executive staff isn't always the right people to do that. And we realized that. So what do? We ask our damage prevention specialists to get together, form a group, and design what a new ticket entry system should look like. Who better to do that but the DPS? They're the ones that are using it. So they did. The group formed and started designing our new ticket entry system. Some of the other enhancements that came about then was we joined HCCA, we joined BRAMCA, we joined Haruka, and they were worried I couldn't pronounce that. Isn't that something? I did. Another thing that happened was we were recognized by Common Ground Alliance and Office of Pipeline Safety, which is now PHMSA, as a Model 1 call state. That's pretty impressive. We hadn't been open that long, so we were pretty excited about that. And then the first VUPS DIRT newsletter came out. That was pretty exciting. And VUPS formed a leadership institute. They created a leadership institute to help train management. And another major thing that happened, and I really wish Elaine Roop, who's on our executive staff, was here, was the FCC ruled on the 811 implementation. What that meant was the FCC ordered that in 2 years, starting April 13th, 2005, they were going to give everybody 2 years to make 811 the national number for one calls. So Elaine was instrumental. She worked with me, and we had to really, really, really work hard on this. Does anybody even have any idea? Telecommunications people, raise your hand. Anybody? There you go. I know you guys know this. We had to call every telecom carrier in the state of Virginia and convince them that even though you have 2 years to do this, we want it done now. Please reroute any calls. Please, if somebody dials 811, route that call to our call switch. Every telecom carrier in the state of Virginia. We called 211. We said, how did you all do this? They gave us a list of some carriers. We looked on the internet. We called and called and we called and we called. And after 3 months, I was so excited when I went to our CEO and I said, guess what? We had 1,802 calls from 811. So that was pretty impressive. This ruling came out 3 months later. We were starting to get calls from it. We still had 2 years, and Elaine and I called telecom carriers constantly. It was pretty amazing. As soon as we thought we would finish the list, we would have to go back and call because people wouldn't return our calls. And we said, we really need to talk to you about routing, changing your routing tables on your call switches at your central offices. So that was a really fun project. 2006 rolled around. What happened? The Newton, the ticket entry software that we talked about where the DPSs formed a group, a focus group, they came up with a new ticket entry software. We went to our vendor. They designed the software. It's called Newton. So we rolled that out to our damage prevention specialists. And then Rick Marshenko was instrumental with Rick Povarsky in getting us an even better land-based map. We went with Virginia Geographical Information Network mapping system. We also got NAPE orthophotography, and that's when we first started using the orthos to help identify the excavation area. It was pretty fun. Then we got a project started to start getting municipality data, point addresses, parcels, structures. Do we have any municipality people here today? Do we have anybody that doesn't provide us with your data? Come on, I'm going to find out. I'm going to look at the list. If you're not providing us with your data and you'd like to, please see any member of the VUPS staff on break or at lunch. We'd love to get that information from you. And the other thing that started is we actually started the Virginia Pilot Program Phase 1. We also started deep software where you could report your damages. And we also, VUPS, started a health and fitness program. And if anybody says, obviously I'm not participating, you won't be eligible for a towel. Okay. Uh-oh. What is the Virginia Pilot Program Phase 1? Who knows? Oh, come on, people. I know you have to know this. All right, Richard Ross. That would be it. That would be the electronic white lining. Way to go. Here's a picture of that. And what that did was that allowed you to take your cell phone that had GPS locators in it and actually walk the area of excavation, capture those GPS points, and create a ticket. Therefore, even further, saying this is exactly where I'm going to be excavating. Here's your GPS points, and we created a ticket from that, from your cell phone. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty exciting thing. Here's a picture of people actually utilizing that. And we got another logo. Now, it's kind of like our name, and I think Rick kind of said this in the beginning. Some people think that we have an identity crisis because we're Virginia Utility Protection Service, we're VA 811. We change logos periodically. I don't think we have an identity crisis. I always like to look on the positive side. I think we're pretty creative. As times change, our logo has to change. So look closely at our new logo. Hint, hint. Could be a question coming up. This is our new logo. Okay, next slide, please. What's the difference between the first logo and the second logo? That's exactly right. Our first logo had our company name. Congratulations. Our second logo, we added our website. Why did we do that? People were starting to use the web more and more. They were starting to submit tickets through web ticket entry. So we were excited about that. We wanted to promote the use of our website. So we changed our logo to include our website. Good eye back there. Congratulations. Okay, 2007 rolled around. Time flies, doesn't it? What do we do then? The Newton ticket entry software that the Damage Prevention Focus Group helped develop, we rolled that out to web ticket entry users. So now all the web ticket entry users had the same software as the damage prevention specialists. If you had a problem and you called in, it was easier for us to answer the question, and it was easier for you all to actually implement or utilize the software and create your tickets because it was a much smoother process. We started online web ticket entry training modules where instead of Steve's group coming out to you, they couldn't get out to you in a timely manner. You had to wait till you could create to do your tickets online. We started doing the training module online. 811 was implemented. We were very, very successful in calling all the telecom carriers in Virginia over that 2-year period, and 811 was fully implemented. I am so happy to say that currently 61% of our calls come in through 811. So if you're not using 811, it's a lot easier. Dial 811. Okay, then what happened? The Virginia Pilot Program Phase 2 started. We received a grant for this through PHMSA. Part of this grant we started looking at with the Phase 2 was, man, our databases are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're capturing more data. We're collecting more data. It's taking forever to back up this data. So part of the grant included us getting our first storage array network. Some of you older folks, some of you laughed about this, call it storage area networks, but our first SANs, it allowed us to store all of our data in a centralized storage array part of disks, and then we could back up all of our data to disk, which was much faster. So that became part of our first Virginia Pilot Program Phase 2. Questions might be coming. We also participated, we were interviewed by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That was a lot of fun. What else did we do? I'm sorry, that's CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's the equivalent to 60 Minutes here in the US. So that was pretty cool. I wasn't on it. I couldn't understand that, but that's okay. I'm here now. Okay, you can laugh, really. Okay, the next thing we did, VUPS received the State Corporation Commission's Damage Prevention Leadership Award. We were pretty excited about that. And then we started our management training program that we talked about, the Leadership Institute. Our management training program consisted of 3 levels of training for management. So we were all being trained, whether you were an executive staff member, a team leader, or whatever your position. If you were in this, you were all being trained consistently. And Bruce, you did a great job on that. Bruce Wood, our HR director, is back there. Thank you. Okay. Woo! This lady back here, I think, had her hand up first. Okay, would you like to tell everybody what phase 2 is? And we're going to determine if this lady has the correct answer. Very good. Did everybody hear that?
This is from one of our members who uses the phase 2 road.
Very, very good. Congratulations. And here's a picture of Rick Morshenko and some of the people that helped us develop it. Matt from McLaughlin, he's on here, and I'm not sure who the middle gentleman is, but they were all part of the development team to develop this. It was pretty exciting. 2008 rolled around. You'd think by now we were done. We are never done. This is too much fun. Okay, 2008 rolls around. What did we do? We started the alert server. How many people receive alerts? Good show of hands, thank you. What's the alert server do? We send you a notice of excavation. We have 5 minutes to send you an emergency notice. Some people said, we want to hear about it right away via our cell phone, our pager. We want to know right away, just not wait for that ticket to come in. So we created the alert server. It notified you via your cell phone, and you have to say, yep, I received this notice. You have to respond back by saying, yep, I'm aware of this notice. What did that do? That allowed people out in the field to immediately know when there was an emergency notice or a 3-hour notice. We added VGen orthophotography. It was a little bit clearer, the NAPE. Of course, NAPE is National Agriculture, so it's flown with all the trees. VGen was clearer, it was at a better resolution. So now we had 2 types of orthophotography. We upgraded our internet bandwidth at VUPS because now 50% of our tickets come in from web ticket entry users. And thank you all, you're doing a great job. We integrated our VUPS billing system with our Newton software so we could get our billing out to you. We also implemented E911. Anybody here participate in E911? Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. Anybody wants to participate, please see me at lunch. I'd love to set you up. What else did we do? We did encroachment notifications. Now we notified pipelines, we notified people if somebody was encroaching upon their right-of-ways. We started the Employee of the Year, Employee of the Quarter, and Rick just showed you who our current Employee of the Quarter was. This has been a very successful program, and our DPSs deserve this recognition because they certainly are the reason we're all still here. They do a fantastic job. 2009 came along. We started the Virginia Pilot Program Phase 3A through our PHMSA grant, and that allowed us to get a secondary SANS. We realized we might be backing up data, but we want to replicate the data between our 2 sites too. So that allowed us to not only do the Virginia Pilot Program Phase 3A, but allowed us to get a secondary SANS. We started the we worked with other people on the Strategic Highway Research Research Program, the SHRP. We started building permits. We started capturing data for building permits. We started automating our web ticket entry audits. So now, those of you that are doing web ticket entry audits, we look at your web ticket entry things. We look at your tickets. What is that for? That's not to like shake our finger and say you did this wrong. That's to help educate you. If we find that there's an area where you could do better at this or better at that, Steve's group is great at coming back out, doing retraining, educate you on the process more. So we started doing that. We upgraded our web TMS. Anybody here use web ticket management system? Very good. We upgraded it to include mapping on that. We did ergonomics training at the call center. See, we're all like loose. We're good to go. We have great seats now. We all know how to position our seats. We're ready to rock and roll. And then we also did, believe it or not, and I think this place could use this, we did an HVAC project. We replaced the entire HVAC system. And I wanted to show you a picture of that. Here's a picture of the crane with the HVAC system. This was all done with no interruption to work. So our facilities manager, Steve Duncan, did a great job at this. He coordinated the entire effort. 2010 came. We're getting closer to lunch, so stick with me. There might be some questions coming up here. What did we do in 2010? That's when we first started our initial steps towards ISO, the International Standards Organization. And Rick came to us and he says, I really want us to look at this. What can we do? He says, is this beneficial to us? He said, let's start taking a look at this. So we started taking a look at it as an executive staff. And we noticed the first thing that we really needed, and Rick said, Debbie, one of your goals is, and I just wanted to remind him because I reached that goal, is to find a software that would centrally store, y'all are laughing at me, they're jealous, that would centrally store our policies and our procedures. He said, take a look around and find us some software. We found a great software. I think Rick's going to go through this in another membership meeting, what we're using, how we're using it. But we're using a software called Policy Tech to centrally store our policies and procedures, where now, without a question of a doubt, anybody can come up to anybody in our building and ask us, how do you do this? If we don't know how, we know exactly where to go, and exactly, we've got a search engine, how to get to that document and say, this is how you do it. We're all consistent with this. We implemented a centralized human resources database. We started change management. Any changes that are going to be made, we review them. They're put into change management. The executive staff reviews them. They talk about how will this affect any department. This prevented us from making mistakes. You know, we might think that IT might think we can make a change, but I didn't know it was going to affect Steve's department, so this prevented that. This started the whole review process of that. And then the CSI, the issues database that Rick showed you earlier, that was implemented. We also started video recording membership meetings. See, there's Rick, the cameraman. Thank you, Rick. People periodically take turns being the cameraman. They have a blast with this. So this meeting should be on our website in about a week or less. And that's pretty exciting when we could start showing the meetings on our website. So in case you couldn't attend them, you can still watch them. Pay attention. This is pretty exciting. Might be a blanket, whoops, towel coming up. We implemented LOMS. LOMS. We'll talk about that in a little while. We implemented Message Center Plus. What did that allow us to do for our web ticket entry users? We had important information to get out to you. It allowed us, when you signed on, for you to see that message. And before you could even enter a ticket, you'd have to read the message. So it allowed us to further our communications to you. We started the development of the excavator work order system. We also started getting into social media, Twitter, Facebook. Isn't that amazing? This is like a time capsule, huh? Look at this is kind of crazy how life changes in 10 years. And we participated in our first annual Festival of Trees. This was interesting. I'm not kidding you. Rick came to a staff meeting. He says, how would you all like to participate in a Festival of Trees? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? He said, well, we have to come up with an idea. we have to create it, and we have to put it on display at Hotel Roanoke. Then people would come through the hotel, they would look at all the Festival of Trees from all the companies, and they would vote via money, and the money would go to the United Way, I believe. Wasn't that correct, Rick? So this was kind of a cool concept. We've never done this before. So a group of people got together at VUPS and decided that our theme for the first year of the Festival of Trees would be the Grinch that stole Christmas. And this is kind of interesting. I want to explain what happened. And this is not for a prize. Does anybody know how the Grinch stole Christmas? The Grinch stole Christmas by, if you can see, excavating. The excavation, and this was all animated, and this was done by folks at VUPS. The Grinch was excavating, hit an underground cable, hit a wire, started a fire in his house. The fire department couldn't get there, the trees falling, the 811 trees falling, and I believe we won. Didn't we win? We won. I mean, we were so excited. This was so cool. This took a group of people. Now, this is interesting. Companies work on this for like a year in advance. I think we had a month, 2 months. 2 weeks? Oh, we're kind of used to that. No, I'm kidding. We had 2 weeks. Rick's like, I know you can do it. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I can't do it because I'm not creative. So I take no credit for this, but there's a lot of folks in the room and a lot of folks back at work who came in on their time off. They came in at night. I came in one weekend to pick something up out of my office. There was like 10 people in this room working on this, and they had been there like 7.5, 8 hours on their day off, volunteering their time. This was a lot of fun, and it was very successful. So, 2010 technology rollout, we talked about it, social media, broadcasting our membership meetings, LOMs, phase 3 technology, where the actual excavation equipment had technology built into it, and Message Center Plus. Ooh, who's cold? Okay. And the question is, what does the acronym LOM stand for? Woo! What is that? Look over my shoulder. Woo! All right. Now the question is, who's ever used LOMs? Jack has. Okay, this is pretty exciting technology. You should think about when a caller calls in and they're giving our damage prevention specialist their area of excavation. As long as they have access to the internet and there's any uncertainty at all, our DPS can say, let me let you look over my shoulder and see what I'm seeing. So they send them an actual ortho with where they're drawing the polygon. Then the caller can either modify that or say, yep, that's exactly right. So that is cool technology. Rick Marshenko came up with that. Good job. It's pretty cool. So if you ever call in and you're not quite sure, we understand where you want to locate or where you want to excavate, I'm sorry, just say, look over my shoulder. I need to use that. Let's see some LOMs. Okay, next. Guess what? We got another logo. Woo! This one matches this towel. Pretty, huh? Huh? No, what doesn't? Oh, the logo, not the logo, the color. But anyway, so what's the new? Can you go back to the logo, please? Because I just want to brag a little bit. Here's where people think that identity crisis comes in. Nope. Remember the whole 811 process about calling 811? We wanted to promote that. So we thought, why does our logo have Miss Utility of Virginia? Why does our website have Miss Utility of Virginia? You know, we're the 811 center. We want you to call 811. So we changed our website to become VA 811. Therefore, no identity crisis. We're creative. We decided to change our logo to match that. Okay, I'm excited about that. Were y'all? Wait till you see more. Okay. 2011 rolls around. Look at all the enhancements. I have to tell you, our CEO is always, always, always. Some say he's never satisfied. I say he challenges us. He's always asking us, how can you improve on what you're doing? We started looking at it. We got a grant to do satellite imagery. Anybody familiar with that? That was pretty impressive, where we collected data from satellite imagery. It could identify if it was a piece of heavy excavating equipment near a right-of-way, and then it would check to see if we had a ticket for that area. If we didn't, we would send a notice to the pipelines and say, there could be somebody with excavating equipment near your pipeline. We also started the VA 811 website, and we did something huge. We moved from our Avaya call switch, because now it's almost 10 years old. It's no longer supported. It was starting to fail. We couldn't upgrade it. We looked at upgrading it. So we did a huge analysis, and we decided to purchase the Avaya call switch. That gave our call center so much more functionality. It gave our operations team all kinds of things they could work with. Pop-up alerts for a damage prevention specialist. They know when it was time to go on break, when it was time to go to lunch. If they couldn't go on break based on call volume, these pop-up alerts would help us. It also gave us a call management system where we could better route calls, get it to the right person the first time. It gave us workforce management. It gave us the ability to take all of our historical data and provide scheduling information based on call forecasting. What else did that do that our other one didn't do? It lets us put notes in there. Let's say it snows and we have a real low call volume day. Well, we can put notes in this system to say, you know what, next year when you're going to forecast and schedule your folks to work, be aware. Don't use this data because it was snowing and people weren't really calling that day. So it's pretty cool technology. It also gave us a new contact recorder. We always have to record and retain all of our calls for 6 years. This gave us a great system where we can retrieve those calls for you if you ever need them really quickly. And it gave our operations team quality monitoring software. They now had the ability to not only listen to the recorded call, but look at our damage prevention specialists as they were taking a call. It would capture screenshots. And so now they can sit down when they're doing quality monitoring in-house, and they can look at what are our agents doing throughout the software, as well as what they're saying to the caller. VUPS purchased this, and we purchased 3 of them, because we always want to have 2 running resiliently at our main site and 1 running at our disaster recovery site. And we implemented this system in all three of them in one day. Pretty amazing. I've done this for a lot of years, and when I left that Friday morning, I said, you know what, I told my husband, I'll be back probably Sunday night. Do not call me. I've got call switch implementation this weekend. He's like, okay. 10 o'clock, 10:15, I came walking in on Friday night. He's like, it failed? I said, no, it didn't fail. I'm home, it works. It really, really works. And we were so excited about that. So Avaya got wind of this. We worked with Avaya on the installation, and they came out and they said, we'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. So they talked to us about why did we choose the Avaya system? How did we do the implementation so flawlessly? And you know what? We involved everybody in the process. That's why it was flawless. Our IT team was involved, but not only our IT team, we involved our operations department, our HR department. We had somebody from HR underneath the cubicles pulling wires. We involved our PAT department helped us, and our damage prevention specialists helped us too. And they were willing to, they were excited about it. They wanted to be trained on it beforehand, so it was seamless to them. It was easy. So Avaya was like all excited about that. They're like, wow, you guys really planned this. You got everybody involved in it. They said, can VUPS do a commercial on this? We're like, a commercial? I mean, Avaya's huge. Come on now. They have major, major companies. Who are we? You know, we're like, yeah, we'll do a commercial. We thought they would just bring somebody in, and they would interview our CEO. It wasn't like that. They actually came into our call center. They had a camera crew. They had a makeup artist, and they were there for 3 days. It was pretty funny. It was pretty impressive and exciting. And you know what? I thought I was the next American Idol, but when they put a camera in front of me, I froze. It was like, oh my gosh. Other people did great. It was a lot of fun. I think it was very cool that Avaya came to us and did that. I just went to a users group conference, and it was 3,000 people there. And nobody from our company went but me, and nobody knew me. So I was sitting there in the opening of this conference. It was in this huge place in Boston. It was 3,000 plus people sitting there. They played our commercial. I was so excited. But I was sitting there, and I didn't want anybody to see how excited I was getting. So I just sat there calmly. But I felt like a movie star after it. People were coming up to me going, "Wasn't that you?" It was. It was fun, too. So that was fun. We also, not only did we do a commercial, we participated in the Vinton Parade. We had a float. Our creative teams went to work again and created a float. We created a homeowner video. We also moved to Microsoft Office 365, reducing our risk of failure by having it in-house. Pay attention, because something might be coming up. I'm getting excited. We created Let's. We started the development of UCAMs. We also participated in our second fall, Festival of Trees. This time our theme was Carousel. Get it? Care? Everybody get that? You'll see it in a minute. And we had our first S&N Safety Day in Roanoke. This is a picture of our first S&N Safety Day. It was a lot of fun. S&N's bowed out on my presentation, so I have to hurry up. So it was great. Thank you, S&N. This is our carousel. It was Carousel. We had a whole theme going on of a carousel with the care message out there. What does the acronym LET stand for? Right back here, sir. Location Enhanced Ticket Search. Congratulations. All right. Anybody know what that does? I'll explain it to you real quick because I know you're getting hungry. Location Enhanced Ticket Search allows you to take your cell phone, put in a buffer, and say, take my GPS points from where I'm standing, and within that buffer, show me any tickets. We've recently enhanced that to not only display the tickets, but you can see the responses to it, and it'll turn green if everybody's responded. So if anybody's interested in Let's, see us on break. Okay, and we got a new logo. Cool, huh? Our new logo matched more of our va811.com theme, and it also displayed our care message. So on the towels that you're being awarded as you win your prizes, you'll see our new logo. We're pretty proud of that. Creative, remember? We're very creative. 2012 came. What have we focused on? We focused on ISO, International Standards Organization. How do we achieve our certification? But not just how do we achieve it, how does it better us as a company? And I can tell you, it really does better us. Our policies, our procedures are so much better. They're centralized. It's a great thing. And I got to tell you, this is my favorite word, but I kind of incorporated it into ISO. And I love to say I'm so excited. Now I'm ISO excited. And that's kind of fun. So as part of ISO in 2012 to prepare for that, Elaine Roop worked with a lady and with their CEO to come up with smart sheets. And I'll show you what that does. And it kind of helps us all keep track of our goals, our objectives, what our strategic plan is, and kind of focus and put in notes on it, where we're at with that. We started participating with Cox Media and Comcast on Spotlight Internet ads. We enhanced our workforce management to include PTO modules so agents could see their PTO. And we got a new look for the newsletter. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy Lamb from our PAT department did a great job. If you haven't seen our newsletter, please take a look. It is gorgeous. And we had our second annual S&N Safety Day. Even though they left, we'll forgive them. They gave us a great safety day, lots of participants, Steve talked about that. I'll just go through this slide. Thank you, S&N. When I talk to you about Smartsheet and what we're doing with ISO, here's an example. For each department, we have executive staff objectives, we have strategic planning, and we have executive staff action items. So when we meet every week, we go through these. We have to put in there where we're at with our objectives, what we're doing with the strategic planning, any action items, and we have dates assigned. And if you don't meet those dates, there might be a reason why, there may not be, but it's a good way for our CEO to track that. So this is great. This has helped our company keep up with what is our strategic goal. You know what? 10 years flew by, so we want to be ready for the next 10 years. That's basically what this boils down to. It prepares us for that. Okay. What is the name of the VUPS newsletter? All right, the dirt, yes. Woo! There might be some more questions, so don't leave. All right, I'm going to hurry because I know you are hungry. This is the grand, oh wait, hang on. The grand prize. I mean the granddaddy of grand prizes. This comes with this beautiful towel. This comes with a nice cooler that's got the ice little formations in it where you can get it all ready. This is what you need when you leave this meeting and you hit the beach. Now, this isn't a question. This isn't a question. This is who wants to volunteer to beta test our EWAS system. You're not eligible, Tracy. EWAS, does anybody know what it is? Excavator Work Order System. I'm telling you, this is what you get. Not only do you get this, but you let me meet a goal. So I'll be forever grateful. But not just that, this is some really cool software to help you automate your work order systems, create tickets, know when to submit those tickets, not just rush in on a Monday and have to enter in all your tickets. Isn't there anybody here that's interested in just looking at this system, possibly testing it with me? You can call a friend. Anybody interested? It's going once, it's going twice. Woo! Richard Ross. Richard's won a towel. But if you'll what? Oh, you'll take. You got to test it. Richard, you want to test it? You want beta test it? I know David Doyle left my meeting, so he already owes me. David Doyle? David Doyle, please enter the meeting. If you're hungry, you'll get in here. All right. Mr. Doyle, we all have a question for you. Richard Ross from Verizon would like to beta test the excavator work order system. And we talked about how great S&N is, what a partner they are. So my question to you is, the grand finale, you get a cooler and you get a towel. Are you going to help Richard beta test our excavator work order system? Yes, ma'am. You are? Yes! Woo! I can't take. Thank you very much, S&N. Thank you very much, Richard Ross. We're going to have a great time beta testing this, and I know you're going to love it. And it's so cool S&N's doing it, because once you do it for Verizon, you're going to want it for everybody. Thank you very much. Okay. That was the grand prize. So the best way for me to wrap this up, and I'm sorry I took so long, is there's a quote in our newsletter from our president and CEO. Now I want to get serious, because we really want to thank you. And I couldn't think of how to say this, so I stole our CEO's quote, and I'm just going to read it to you verbatim. He said, all of our accomplishments have been through the dedication of our staff and the support of all the damage prevention stakeholders. And he would like to thank you for every everyone for our success in reaching this 10-year milestone. I couldn't have said that any better. I'm so glad he put that in the newsletter. I stole his quote, and that's from him. And on behalf of all the executive staff here at VUPS, VA811, we do want to thank you in helping us reach this milestone. Thank you for participating in the Jeopardy questions. I had a great time. You ready to eat? Accept door prizes.